Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Ready for another deep dive?
Always. What are we looking at today?
Today, we're diving into Kaynes Technology India Limited,
Kaynes Technology. Okay.
and they're making some serious moves in the smart meter world.
Smart meters. Interesting. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, they're aiming to be a big player in India. Huge ambitions.
Big ambitions, huh? What's caught your eye about them?
Well, what really stands out to me is their two-pronged approach. You know, not just manufacturing smart meters, but really becoming like essential to the whole ecosystem.
The whole ecosystem. That's interesting. How so?
So on one hand, they're going after these massive contracts to supply the meters themselves, like millions of units.
Billions. Okay, so they're going big.
But then, and this is where it gets really interesting, they also want to be the main supplier for all the AMISPs.
The AMISPs, right, right. For those of us who maybe don't work in the industry, can you remind us what those are again?
Oh, for sure. The AISPs, those are the companies that actually install and manage the entire smart meter system, the whole shebang.
So like the behind the scenes folks making it all work.
Exactly. So Keynes is basically saying, hey, we'll supply the meters and we'll supply the companies that make them work.
Yeah.
It's a pretty brilliant move, I think.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Instead of just fighting for individual contracts, they're making themselves indispensable. Smart.
And speaking of smart, their projections for smart meter sales are, well, pretty impressive.
What are we talking? Give us the numbers.
Right now, only about 10% of their sales are from smart meters.
Okay, 10%. Not huge, but
But they're projecting that to jump up to 15%.
15%. All right, so a noticeable increase. But how?
Well, get this. They're about to start producing 3.5 million smart meters for the state of Gujarat.
Wait, 3.5 million just for Gujarat. Wow.
Yeah, through a deal with the Power Grid Corporation of India Limited.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting what their new factory in Hyderabad is going to be pumping out.
New factory, huh? Tell me more. How many can they make there?
That one's going to be able to make a whopping 4 million meters a year.
4 million. That's a lot of meters. They're really gearing up. It sounds like they're expecting demand to just skyrocket.
Yeah, and they're not just relying on one big project. They're saying they're anticipating orders from different AISPs pretty much every month.
So a constant stream of business, that's good for them. Sounds like they're positioning themselves to really capitalize on this whole smart meter trend.
Exactly. And they're not just content with India either. They're also going after international clients.
Oh, interesting. So thinking globally, so why should our listeners care about all of this? Why is this important?
Because the Indian government is really pushing for nationwide smart meter adoption. Big projects on the horizon.
Like what?
Like a 20 million smart meter rollout they're planning for West Bengal. This tech isn't some little side thing anymore. It's going to be a big deal, and Keynes is right there at the forefront. So if you're thinking about investments,
This is definitely a company to watch. You need to keep an eye on things like this if you want to make smart investment decisions. And, well, that's what this channel is all about. So if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives just like this one. We'll keep you informed.
absolutely. And it sounds like Keynes is betting big on this trend, not just in India, but globally. They believe in the future of smart grids, and they want to be leading the charge.
Makes sense. So what else is on their agenda? What else are they doing to make this happen?
Well, they're not just relying on, organic growth. They recently made a pretty big move and acquired a European smart meter company called Iskraemeco.
Oh, wow, a European acquisition. That's a big deal. Let's dig into that a bit more.
Let's do that. But before we get there, let's take a quick pause and recap what we've learned so far. So we're looking at Kaynes Technology India Limited, a company with some big dreams in the smart meter market. They're not just making the devices, they want to be the go-to supplier for the whole system. They're snagging major contracts, building massive production capacity, and expanding not just in India, but around the world.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. All right, let's take a break and then we'll come back and dive into that Iskraemeco deal. Sounds fascinating. All right, so let's talk about this Iskraemeco acquisition. Big move for Keynes, right?
It really is. And you mentioned before the break that it could boost their margins. But how exactly does that work? Buying another company, that's a big investment. How does that lead to more profit?
Right, great question. So remember, Iskraemeco isn't just any company. They're a top player in the European smart meter market. They've got the experience, they've got the technology, and they've already got those relationships built up in Europe.
So Keynes gets instant access to those markets.
Exactly. Plus, they can take what Iskraemeco knows and use it to make their own products even better. And think about it, with a bigger operation, they can probably negotiate better deals with suppliers, too.
Ah, yeah, the power of scale. Smart move.
Exactly. And all of that adds up to higher profit margins.
Makes sense. So it's more than just adding another revenue stream. It's about, like, strategically setting themselves up for success down the line.
Absolutely. It's a long game they're playing. They don't just want to be a big fish in India. They want to be a global leader.
A global smart meter empire.
Something like that. And with this government push for smart meters and the global demand growing, they seem pretty well positioned to make it happen. But are there any, like, roadblocks or risks we should think about?
That's a good point. It can't all be smooth sailing, right?
Right. I mean, and no investment is risk-free, right?
Right.
And as good as things look for Kaynes, they're not the only ones in this game. They've got competition both in India and globally.
So they can't just sit back and relax.
Exactly. They've got to stay sharp, keep innovating, and keep executing their plan well if they want to stay ahead of the pack.
What else, like, from an investor's perspective, what are some other things to keep in mind?
Well, one thing to think about is how much they're relying on the government's push for smart meters. Those initiatives and policies, they're a big reason why this market is growing so fast.
So if things change, if the government shifts priorities, that could impact Keynes.
Exactly. It highlights how important it is to be diversified, not to put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Right, that makes sense.
But in fairness to Keynes, it seems like they're aware of this and they're taking steps. Expanding internationally is one way to diversify their revenue, and their focus on running things efficiently, making smart acquisitions, shows they're always looking for an edge.
They're not just riding the wave, they're steering the ship.
Yep.
Speaking of which, their financial projections are pretty impressive. They're aiming for 3,000 crores in revenue with a 15% EBITDA margin. Can you break those down for us? Like, what do those numbers actually mean for someone thinking about investing?
Sure. So 3,000 crores, that's a lot of rupees. It's roughly like $3.6 billion USD, a lot of money for any company. And that 15% EBITDA margin, that tells us about their profitability.
EBITDA. Remind me what that stands for again.
Yeah, it stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Basically, it's a way to see how profitable the core operations of the company are, before all the other financial stuff gets factored in.
So it gives you a clearer picture.
Exactly. And 15%, that's generally considered pretty healthy. It means they're managing costs well and making good profit from what they're doing.
So good news for anyone looking for a company that's making money and has potential for growth.
Right. And their new factory in Hyderabad coming online soon, that just reinforces their commitment to scaling up to meet that growing demand.
It's all coming together.
It is. And that Iskraemeco deal, that should help their EBITDA margin too. Iskraemeco is a profitable company. It has a good track record. So this acquisition, it should boost Kaynes' overall financial performance even more.
There's a lot of positive signs here for Kaynes Technology.
There are. But it's always important to remember, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. There are always risks with any investment.
Right, the golden rule.
Right. Do your research, think about your own goals and risk tolerance, and talk to a financial advisor before making any decisions.
Great advice. But even with that said, it's hard not to get excited about Kaynes and the whole smart meter industry, right? They're not just making gadgets. They're a part of a bigger change, a revolution in how we use energy.
Absolutely. And it's a change for the better.
Yeah, it really is. And it's more than just like infrastructure upgrades, right? It's about changing how we use energy every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about giving people the tools to make better decisions, smarter choices about their energy use. Imagine like having this live data about how much energy you're using right there on your phone.
That would be cool, actually.
Right. You'd know exactly how much you're using at any moment. See where you can cut back. You could even like time things, run the dishwasher when rates are lower.
Like a personal energy coach right in your pocket.
Exactly. And think about the savings on your energy bills, too.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome.
And it's bigger than just individual savings, too. This kind of data can help the utility companies, too, like the ones running the grid.
Oh, yeah. How so?
They can use it to manage the grid more efficiently, respond to changes in demand faster, integrate renewables better, too. They can even spot potential outages before they happen.
So a more resilient grid overall. Sounds like it.
Exactly. It's pretty incredible how this tech can change everything, from our own habits at home to how the whole system works.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And it's only going to get more sophisticated, right? What's the future look like?
Well, think about this. What if smart meters were talking to all your other smart home devices, right? A truly intelligent energy ecosystem. Your house could automatically adjust how it's using energy based on like your schedule, the weather outside, even the price of electricity at different times of day.
Like, wow, that's some futuristic stuff, right?
Yes, but it's not that far off, really. And Keynes, they're right there building the foundation for it all.
That's what makes this so interesting, right? They're not just making a product, they're building the future of energy.
Exactly. A company on a mission.
So let's wrap this up. We've talked about their growth strategy, the Iskraemeco deal, their confidence in this whole smart meter future. For me, I think the biggest takeaway is that Keynes, they're not just talking, they're taking action. They've got a clear vision, and it seems like they've got a good plan to make it happen.
I agree. They're walking the walk, and, next time you're out and about, keep an eye out for those smart meters. You'll start seeing them everywhere, on houses, businesses.
Like little signs of progress.
Yeah, little signs of a smarter, more sustainable energy future.
I like that. Well, for everyone listening, if you found this deep dive helpful and you want to keep learning about companies that are shaping the future, well, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll keep bringing you these deep dives to help you make those informed investment decisions.
That's right. So until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, keep diving deep.